Do you think you know who you are? Because unless you're tracking, you really don't. We are a great mystery, even to ourselves, and we just act out our impulses over and over again with no real connective tissue to a sense of identity. This is why I started tracking over a year ago, and it's been an absolute game changer in my life. Tracking is so important because it provides you a sense of progression towards your goals that you wouldn't normally see. And the reason we need this is because our body releases dopamine as we move towards a desired goal. We don't actually like it all that much once we've achieved the goal, because then our feedback loop has finally hit its conclusion and we have to find something totally new to do. We love the sensation of going out there and seeing ourselves move 1% closer. But the issue is, if you're not tracking, you don't really know where you're at. You don't know if you're moving closer. So you're putting in all this really difficult work and it's just kind of going to waste, and there's a chance you'll quit. So don't miss out on this healthy dopamine, because we are getting loaded with instant gratification all the time and it's not the same. This healthy dopamine will actually allow you to achieve your goals. I'm going to run down the 5 ways you should be tracking your actions and your behaviors. Number 1. Your effective time. How often during a day are you actually effective? We live in an age of pure distraction and it just doesn't allow us to really perform the way we should be. I was shocked when I started really nailing into how many hours of this day was I doing deep work, because maybe you were getting a phone call and maybe you were distracted by social media. If you can actually start to see that in front of you, you can also get a bit of gamification out of it. One of my favorite metrics I look at every week is how many hours did I actually work? Because I know the world is fairer than you'd think. If you put in the hours, and they're real hours and not just partially in it, not really paying attention. If they're true working hours, it will pay off for you. The world is fairer than you believe it to be. The second thing you should be tracking is your consumption time. We spend so much of our time now consuming content from every direction, whether it's coming from our phones, the TV, our laptop. It's everywhere we look, and you'd be astounded once you start to see how much time you're just glued to consuming rather than producing. The average Netflix user watches content for 3.2 hours every single day. That is just dead time. Imagine what you could be doing. The benefit of tracking, you start to see that and it starts to hurt. I don't want to be the guy that's having to put in watching 20 hours of content a week, because it doesn't make me feel good. But if I'm just not tracking anything and I'm just woefully ignorant about what I'm doing, then I can hide that fact and it'll creep up on me later in my life when I've not actually done anything with my time. So be really careful about the amount of time that you're consuming content and start tracking it. The third thing you should be tracking is your sleep time. If you don't get the appropriate amount of sleep, everything else goes to waste. You will never be an effective person. You will never reduce your consumption, because it all falls down from this. This is the top of the hierarchy. The amount of clients that I've worked with where they've come and we start tracking their sleep and they're astonished. They look at the data and they're a little bit ashamed, because they will be having the most volatile sleep, going from, oh, I slept 5 hours to 11 hours and back down to 6. And it's not good for you at all. Being able to build in that level of routine with your sleep only really comes from tracking it, because we don't pay attention to things that we don't find important, and tracking allows you to see what's important. And I'm telling you, there is nothing more important than your sleep. The fourth thing you should be tracking is your bad habits and intoxicants. The reason bad habits are so destructive, because the repercussions for them, they're always at a distant point in the future.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
What tracking does is it allows you to have a little bit of the pain that you're going to receive from that in the moment. I track my alcohol consumption because I'm just trying to reduce it and minimize it, because I know the effect it has on me being able to perform at the best of my ability. And every single time I drink alcohol, I have to put a check in that box. And what that does is limit the amount of times that I drink unnecessarily. Those times where it really doesn't benefit me. It's not like I've completely quit, but it's just stopped me drinking when I don't really think my heart's in it and I'm not doing it for a good reason. And that is because I just don't want to put that tick in that box. I don't want to have to look at myself and see that I put it in there when I know damn well that I don't want to be drinking more than is necessary. And being able to see that is what helps me, it's what guides me and allows those decisions to be made in the moment, because I'm bringing a taste of that pain, a taste of that hangover and lost time is being brought from the future into that moment. And that's what saves me, and that's what has saved many other people, that they're just able to have a little bit of that pain brought forward through tracking. And when your bad habits start to get out of control, we get to see that. It's not cloudy, it's not foggy, you just get to see it. You get to see where you fell down, you get to see the mistake. And that's what allows you to change something, because we don't change things that we're not aware of. So bring it into your awareness, understand what are your bad habits and start tracking them. The final big item you should be tracking is exercise. We have a habit and a nature to overestimate how much we do. And that's why when you might ask someone that's trying to get in shape, you say, oh, how much are you doing? They'll have probably only been to the gym once, but in their head, they'll say more than that. And that's why you need to track what you're doing, because it makes it black and white. It allows you to see yourself for who you truly are and what you're working towards. And behind sleep, being in good physical conditioning is the most important thing you can do, because it allows you to go out into the world and be a healthy person and achieve things. Start tracking your exercise. It can be whichever exercise suits you. It can be your swimming, it can be your cycling, your gym, anything. And track the intensity. Be in the know about who you are. And above all, as I said in the intro, the dopamine you receive from that improvement, it stands out here more than any others. I love being able to input how far I ran this week, because I just see that number tick up. I see the fact that I went out and did 25k yesterday, and it makes me feel good. It encourages me to do more exercise, to go out there and keep smashing my goals, because exercise is probably the most objective thing that you can measure. It's so clear cut how much you do that you will always be able to get an accurate indication of who you are and what you're doing. You can track all of these with a pen and paper, or even do something more advanced, like try my system. I run honest improvement where I help people analyze and track their data so they can turbocharge their self-improvement. And it's so vital for people to be able to see who we are. In a day and age when we have distractions everywhere, your attention is moving towards yourself less and less. Be able to see yourself for who you truly are and start tracking.